All right, well, we're going to start by discussing the imperfect tense. And actually, let's look at this graphic. If you've done imperfect tense with me before, then you've seen this graphic, right? So the present tense, the simple past tense, is used for an action, like this action here, this red action, that just happens for a moment and then it's done in your sentence, right? Whereas you use imperfect tense when you want to show that the action was going on for a while, right? For a period of time. All right, so if we go back to this now, some of you in class have done imperfect tense already, right? If you've never done it, I'd like to know if you've never done it. The imperfect tense. Now, how do we say, what is the equivalent in English? The equivalent in English is I was doing something, right? So I was walking, right? Maria and Jose were eating, right? So the actions were going on for a while, right? So el imperfecto, the imperfect. Right, so this is another past tense that we are looking at. So far we've looked at perfect tense, we've looked at present, and now we're looking at imperfect, right? All right, so in Spanish, the imperfect is used for the following things. A past continuous action, just like in English, that is not completed. It's not completed in the sentence, right? So I was walking, it's past, it was going on for a while. The sentence doesn't tell you when it was completed, right? Maria and Jose were eating. It doesn't tell you when it was completed. It was raining. I was looking through the window. Right? So these are examples. I'm going to give you time to take down the first point. And the examples. Some of you may have taken it down already. Because the screen was up earlier. Now let's put in the Spanish. All right, ready with the first one? Okay, so it was raining. We have a few ways we could say it, right? So we could write, this is an L. So to rain is llover. So we could write llovía, right? Or we could write estaba lloviendo, right? So in this case, the imperfect tense is the llovía and then estaba is in the imperfect tense. So I'm only going to leave the first example since that is the one that is completely in the imperfect tense. All right, I was looking through the window. Miraba por la ventana. So on the next slide, we're going to go over how to form the imperfect tense, right? But as we do the examples, I'm going to put in the Spanish for you one time as well, right? All right, so next one, actions that were done in the regularly in the past or as a habit, right? So in English, we would say would, We would convey this by word. So I would go to the mall on Saturdays. I would watch 3 hours of TV a day. I would get 8 hours of sleep. Right? Meaning that I used to do it. Yeah, so would, in English we say would, but we mean used to, right? As opposed to would as in the conditional tense. I would get 8 hours of sleep, but I'm too busy to do that, right? That's explaining what the reason why I don't get 8 hours of sleep, right? As opposed to trying to say that, you know, I used to get 8 hours of sleep. I would get it back in the day, right? All right, so actions that were done regularly in the past as a habit. I used to go to bed at 9. In English, we would also say I would go to bed at 9, right? I used to live in Spain. I would live in Spain. All right, so me acostaba a las 9, right? I used to live in Spain. Vivía en España, right? So the imperfect tense here, vivía and acostaba, right? But if it is acostar, say it's reflexive, right? Just up here it was llovía and imperfect miraba, right? I'm going to pause for a minute and give you a chance to catch up. Right, so the imperfect is used with the past participle for description. So Sarah, we use Sarah the star with the past participle, Sarah the star in the imperfect plus the past participle for description, right? Now, do we remember how to form the past participle? There's an AR verb, mirar, for example. We take off the AR and we add ADO, so it becomes mirado, right? If it's just now llover, to rain, ER or IR verb, vivir, to live, right? We add IDO. Sorry, yeah, IDO. Right? All right. So as a quick reminder, anybody using this, I'm gonna clear it away, right? We need the space. Okay, he was tired. How do we say he is tired? We would say está cansado, right? So we want to say he was tired. We're describing how he was feeling. We would say estaba cansado, right? All right, let's do one with Sarah. The food is delicious. The food was delicious. Right? And I want to say the food that's so I mean like the food is at this place is always delicious. So I'm gonna use ser, right? So la comida era. So ser is an irregular imperfect. We will practice with it, right? La comida era deliciosa. Right? So my imperfect is was, estaba, again, was, era. Right? I have a little note at the bottom here. Sometimes in English, that we might think to use the simple past tense, but the Spanish tense will require the imperfect, right? So for example, we might say, I lived in Spain. That's the same in English. We could convey I used to live in Spain with the phrase, with the sentence I lived in Spain, right? But we would need to translate it as vivía because it went on for a while. Now, the exception to this is if there is something in the context that is like a longer sentence and there's something that makes it preterite, right? If we say I went to bed at 9. Again, this will depend on context, right? But if this went means used to, just like if this lived means used to, then we would have to use imperfect. So we have to be alert for that. We always have to ask ourselves, is the thing that we're putting in the past tense, is it something that went on for a while? Is it was something that was done as a habit? Or is it something that otherwise needs the imperfect, right? If anybody is confused, let me know. Right, and again, everything we just said could be summed up on this little chart. The imperfect action goes on for a while. So you have to think to yourself, when you're about to state something in a past tense, and you need to think, do you need the imperfect? Did it go on for a while? Do I mean to show that it went on for a while? Right. Okay, so this is for regular AR, ER, and IR verbs, right? And we can see the endings here. All right, so for the AR verbs, we take off the AR, we take off the ending, and we add for you, we add ABA, ABA. For two, we add ABAS, ABAS. For ALA, we add ABA. For nosotros, we add ABAMOS, A accent, BAMOS. For vosotros, we don't do that. So let me just put a line through it. Right? And then for EOS, AS, or ustedes, we add ABAN, right? So I'll just add in usted here. And I'll add in ustedes down here, right? Now, what does this mean? This means I sang, I was singing, I used to sing. It can mean all these things, right? You sang, you were singing, you used to sing, right? Right. We sang, we were singing, we used to sing. He, she, it sang. He, she, it was singing. He, she, it used to sing. They, you, formal plural, sang. They, you, formal plural, were singing. They, you, formal plural, used to sing, right? All right, let me know when you're done. I'm ready to move on. All right, so we're looking now at cohere and dividir. And as some of you know, because you've done this before, the endings are the same for ER and IR verbs, right? So we take off the ER from the stem. For cohere, we take off the ER. For dividir, we take off the IR. So cogía, I caught. I was catching. I was catching the bus when the rain started to fall. I used to catch. I used to catch every cricket ball that came my way. All right. Cogías, so the two form I accent es. Él, ella, usted cogía, I accent e. Nosotros cogíamos, I accent emos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes cogían, I accent en, right? Dividía, I accent e, dividías. I accent AS, dividia, I accent A, dividiamos, I accent AMOS, dividian, I accent AN, right? So if this is very familiar to you, then I'm going to give you vivir, beber, um, tener, to conjugate. One more thing we want to do here before we go to practicing with the preterite versus the imperfect is look at the irregular imperfects. There are only 3 of them, so we might as well do them quickly. Right? All right, so let's get to this. Oh, right. There are only 3 irregular Spanish verbs. We have a neat little graphic here with them for us, right? So era, so ser, sorry, ser is the first one, right? So ser is our first one, right? So instead of taking off the ER and adding in I accent, A, etc., the whole stem changes. So it becomes era, eras, era, éramos, with an accent on the E, eran. And again, we're going to cross out vosotros from our table, right? And you don't need to take it on a table, obviously. Right now, what does this mean? I was, I used to be, right? And this, sorry, this table also has ALA and state separated. Of course, you could put them together, right? Because it's the same. So why didn't I do that for us? Usted. Then you don't need to separate this. Right. We used to be, it was, it used to be, he was, she was, he used to be, she used to be, you used to be, right? All right, so ser to be. And then we have ir to go. So iba, ibas, iba, ibamos, accent on the I, iban, right? So remember it's éramos with an accent, íbamos with an accent, and veíamos. All right, so how do we translate this? You went, you were going, right? You used to go. This would be for the to form, or even the state form. Right? I'm just picking one to remind us of the different forms. Then we have there. Veía, accent on the I. Veías, accent on the I. Veía, accent on the I. Veíamos, accent on the I. Veían. So all of these have accents on the I, right? And what do they mean? They saw, they were seeing. So they were seeing a movie when the fire alarm went off or something. They used to see. Right? If you have a question, let me know, right? Okay, fill in the blanks with the corresponding preterite and imperfect. El ladrón, something, cuando yo something la cuenta? Right? And the answer is the thief entered, right? So he entered when I was paying the bill. So this was going on for a while. So imperfect tense. And then he entered. So his is an interrupting action. It interrupted what was going on before, right? So pagaba, right? I was paying, and intro, pretret, he entered because it's a single past action. All right, let's do the first sentence together. We'll reason it out and write it in. And that's the first two, right? All right. So un día, cuando yo something a mi casa, por la tarde, mi coche. So is this action a single completed action or going on for a while? Cuando I was returning home, I was going home in my car. All right, something. So there is to see. A un amigo mío en la calle. So thoughts, what is number one and what is number two? Is one of them a single completed action? And is one of them going on for a while? Which one is going on for a while? Or which one is completed? Is the drive home going on for a while, or is he seeing his friend in the street going on for a while? The drive home is going on for a while, right? So this one imperfect, iba a mi casa por la tarde en mi coche. Then there, so I saw, so V, right? No, I don't think we did in irregular preterites because there were quite a few of them. But the preterite for there would be V, right? All right, so one thing that could get in the way of you being able to do this exercise is the vocabulary. So we have to work really hard. If we don't know a word, you have to ask. And of course, you could always look it up, right? All right, so this one is going on for a while. Right? And the cuando is also a clue. And then V is the interrupting action. Right? So interrupting action here. So it's preterite. So this is imperfect, right? Okay, my little pen here is not responding. Okay, any questions about the first two? Okay, still not responding. Okay. Right. I saw a friend of mine on the street. That is the interrupting action. So it is preterite, right? I have to write with the mouse, which is why this is so terrible. Interrupting. Oh, that's the U. Right. So vi a un amigo mío en la calle. My friend on the street. Right? Ah, good. Pen is responding. Great. All right. Good. So 1 and 2 are okay. Okay, let's look at the vocabulary for the next sentence, and then I want you all to try the answer. So llover, which we know is to rain. So something about the rain, what do you think it's saying? El no, llevar is to carry. Oh, okay. Paraguas, right? Which is umbrella. So what do we think? Um, it was raining, good. So if we say it was raining, if we find ourselves saying was an ing, that means we have to use which tense? The imperfect, right? So what is the imperfect of llover? Take off the ER, it was raining, so we need the it form, the AL state form. So for that, we add I accent A, right? All right, so llovía, it was raining, and we use imperfect because it is a continuous action. All right, now what are we doing about number 4? The él no, he was not what? Okay, now if you see your friend, let's reason this out because there's an argument for both imperfect and preterite, but which one fits better? Will we say he did not carry an umbrella? You're looking at your friend, right? Or would we say he was not carrying an umbrella? Now, what is the difference between these two? The first one is like saying, well, he didn't pick it up when he left home. But really, when we see a friend on the road, what we're going to think is he was not carrying an umbrella. So we are still going to use imperfect. All right, so he'll know what. So this is the one we want. We take off the AR and we add. We add ABA, right? For the, again, ALAO state form. So no llevaba paraguas. Por eso, all right, we have bajar la ventanilla y le preguntar is to ask a question. Si querer, to want to acompañarme, to accompany me, right? So this also is continuous. All right, so we're asking ourselves now, is the action going on for a while? Remember, this is the past tense. Remember, I gave you this little diagram, right? Is the action simply that, or is the action this? Right, so bahar is to lower. Very useful verb for situations too, because if you have to lower the volume, you or ask somebody to lower the volume, you use bahar. All right, take a try. What do you think the verb should be in? Okay, good. Portrait for the first one because I lowered the window. That's just one dot. I'm just trying to convey that that's what I did, not that it was going on for a while, right? All right, so we take off the AR, and for yo, what do we add? So we have the stem as BAJ. Look back at your notes from last week if for some reason you don't remember it. Right, E with an accent, baje. Right, so baje, la ventanilla. Now, guys, we had to know these endings inside out really well, right? Ile okay, so preguntar, is this preterite or imperfect? I asked him, it's done. If I wanted to say, I was asking him if he wanted a ride when the tree fell on my car, then I was asking would be imperfect. But I asked him, so le pregunté, right? See, all right, now what we're doing with the quick querer. Is the querer imperfect or portrait? If he wanted, is he wanted a single action or is it going on for a while? Will he want over a period of time? I think so, right? Quería, if he wanted to accompany me, right? So over time, it's not a single completed action. All right, should we take a break and then come back and do the others? All right, so let's take a break. If you don't need a break, then by all means, go ahead and do 8 to 19. Why don't I have 20 here? Anyhow, 8 to 19. And you can put your answers in the chat, put a number next to it so I know which one is for, right? Other than that, let's take 5 minutes. If you need to take 5 minutes, let's take 5 minutes. We're gonna move a little faster because we still want to get to pour and para after. Move a little faster with this second piece, right? Okay, so él me something. So dar, las gracias y subir something al carro como something estar mojado. Okay, so he thanks me, right? So di diste dio, right? So me dio las gracias. He thanked me. No, he um got into the car. So subió al carro, right? Como estaba mojado because he was soaked. So we're describing, right? So I carried him home fastest that I could, right? So carrying him home took a while. It's not a single completed action, or is it a single completed action? I carried him to his house. In English, it sounds like a single completed action, right? What do you think? Think about it. All right, so one trick I have, or one tool I have, is I ask myself, could I say the imperfect and would it make sense? The English imperfect, would it make sense? So I was carrying home the fastest that I could. I don't think I could, right? All right. So I'm going to put this as lo llevé a su casa. I carried him to his house the fastest that I was able to. So podía. Right? All right. When we arrived, so cuando llegamos, right? Present tense, because we only arrived that one time. So cuando llegamos a su casa. So when we got to his house, so his esposa so his wife invited me, right? So she me invitaste, invitó. Right? Present again, because it's one invitation is just a single action. So she invited me to take something with them, to have something with them, to eat or drink, right? A tomar algo con ellos. Pero como mi esposa but as my wife was waiting on me, so she esperaba, that is going on for a while, en casa, at home, right? I had to tell her that it was impossible to accept the invitation that day, right? So I'm going to put this as simple past tense. Tuve, right? Tener has an irregular preterite. Quiere decirle que me era imposible. It was impossible because we're describing a condition to accept the invitation that day. She told me, so single completed action. This year is irregular. Ella me dijo, right? Que they were going to invite my wife and I another day, right? So conditional, not conditional, sorry, imperfect. We have to decide if it's she or they. So I'm going to use the third person plural form, as we didn't do that yet. So she told me that they would invite us, my wife and I, another day. All right. So Iran, we just looked at the irregular forms of ir. Okay. Okay, so look it over. If there's anything you're not sure about or you disagree with, you could ask and we could discuss it further. All right, so if anyone would like to also get a copy of this exercise that we're doing, here is the link in the chat, right? All right. So the instructions are here. For or para, circle the correct answer. Right? All right. Voy a casarme por o para amor. Here, let me give you a few minutes to try the first 5. Choose your answers. 1 minute. You have 1 minute to try the first 5. Choose your answer. And then we're going to go through and discuss the reasons why, right? Right. So the first one, I am going to get married for love. All right. So the motive is love, right? So we use for, like a reason why. Now, if you said, I'm going to get married to find love or to get love, not an emotionally healthy thing to do, right? But then it would be para. Like if the destination was love, then it would be para. But we mean that the reason we're getting married is love, so por, right? All right. Roberto tiene que hacerlo por o para mañana. Roberto has to do something by a certain time, right? He has to do it by tomorrow, right? When we are doing a deadline, when we have something for a certain due date or a deadline, that is para. Right? We have to finish something by a certain time, para. And if you think about it, the deadline is the destination, right? Okay, Luis estudia por o para médico. What you think? All right, so he's studying to be a doctor. He's not a doctor yet. He's heading towards the doctor status, right? So when we are our destiny, think of it like destination, right? It's going to happen in the future. Right? Another way to say it is para ser médico, right? And then you would think in order to become a doctor. All right. What about number 4? Ayer yo trabajé por o para Luisa porque ella se enfermó. So, on her behalf, in place of. So, on someone's behalf is for. Right? If you could replace the words in the sentence with on her behalf or on his behalf, then it's por. Yo pagué, I paid $20, $20 por para el libro de texto. When we're dealing with money in exchange for, we have to use por. All right, so if the money is for something, like money for dinner, money for, in this case, this textbook, then it's for. But let's say you had money to give someone as a gift, then it's para, because the person is the destination, gift destination, right? But here, it is money in exchange for. All right. Viajamos a Cuba by boat. We're traveling to Cuba by boat. So when we talk about methods of transportation, we use por, right? Great. Por barco, por coche, por tren, por autobus, modes of transportation. All right. Mi familia vivió en Puerto Rico por o para 5 años. Right. So it's for time, it's for how long something lasted. So we're going to use por. Very good. Right? Duration of time. All right. Este traje de baño, this bathing suit, es demasiado pequeño para mí. Yes, it's para. And if you look at the answers, it will tell you comparison because we're comparing the size of the suit to the size of me, right? So one bigger than the other, one smaller than the other. All right, Miguel no fue a clase ayer por para estar enfermo. Now, if you have para in front of a verb, it's going to mean in order to up here, right? Para plus a verb equals in order to do something, right? Now, do we mean in order to be sick? No, he did not go to class yesterday because he was sick. So this is the reason for. This is due to. So then the next one should be the same thing, right? Regresé a mi cuarto. I returned to my room para estar enfermo. Because I was sick, right? Due to being sick, right? Ese cuadro fue pintado para Picasso. Or he's a painter, right? And fue pintado por is really passive voice. So by someone, passive voice. Okay. Ese político hace mucho por o para los pobres. This politician has done a lot. This is similar to number 4, the reason. On behalf of the disadvantaged, the poor. All right. Quiero viajar. Oh, wait, sorry. Voy al centro para ver una película. Well, we sort of just talked about that up here. Para plus a verb. So I went to the square, to the center, to see, in order to see. Right? So this is in order to. All right. Quiero viajar por o para Europa después de graduarme. So where do I want to travel? To Europe. Is that my destination? Or is it through Europe? Most likely the sentence means through, right? Now, if I meant to Europe, I would say para. Right? So if I want to say para Europa means to Europe, right? But the emphasis is on I'm going to be passing through it like from country to country. Right? Para Europa is the destination. So it's not that para would be wrong, right? It would mean something else. All right, last one. Si hay un incendio, debes salir por o para la ventana. If there is a fire, you have to leave. Which one? through the window, right? I'm not sure that's really great advice, but for the sentence, this also means through, right? If I said if there's a fire, you have to go para la ventana, that means you have to head towards the window. Right? But that's again a different meaning. All right, questions? Anything anybody is realizing about for and para they want to ask or ask us to do? All right, so I sent this handout, the link to it to you in the chat. You could, there are some very nice notes at the top in bullet points, easy to read, nice examples. If you still feel shaky or even just a revision, you could revise it, right? All right, guys. So this brings us more or less to the end of class. I'm going to leave you with the remainder of time for writing down the sentences and the answers and the reasons, right? If anybody has any questions, you could remain and ask them. And if you need anything at all, even over vacation, you could just message on WhatsApp, right? But other than that, enjoy your Christmas vacation. And I'll see everybody next time.